as a game designer and a project manager, I found that trying to design an inclusive board game is a very big challenge because there are a lot of parameters that you usually do not take into account, such as things that people may find offensive or things that you need to predict in order to make a game that is more accessible and can be played by many people with a lot of individual needs. So I believe that the most impressive thing is that despite perhaps the simplicity of the rules, because inclusion does demand and command the use of simpler rules in order to increase the amount of people who can participate. I believe that what impressed me the most is the depth of the challenge that is required in order to achieve a complete and inclusive board game.
Me, as a graphic designer, the most important aspect for me is the visual aspect of the game, and this is what inspired me the most. And by working in a group, I can see different ideas, which I can later translate into the visual components. And for me, this is the most inspiring part of designing the game.
I was impressed by the work of Shaledu in regards of creating board games for a variety of groups, such as persons with intellectual disabilities, persons with hearing impairments, adults or elders with struggling with cognitive challenges.
The most challenging part would be assembling a team because it requires knowledge in all kind of fields, a lot of fields. It's not easy to make a new board game, not to use the old one, and also the money, because nothing can be done without money.
So I think the most challenging part about designing the inclusive board game would be to integrate fun and interesting game design. And why I'm saying fun is because I think when we're working with people with ID, it could be restricting in a fun department, because we don't want to treat these people with ID with privileges. We want to treat them normally, and if we give them privileges, then the game might be not fun enough. So that's what I was interested in the most, and I think that's the most challenging part for me.
I think the most challenging aspect would be to test the game with, for example, with inclusive group of people, because we need to find these people, gather them. So I think it would be the most difficult in terms of organization, to find the proper group which would like to test this game and would have enough patience to do it.
Personally, when I design board games, I try to think of the rules and the mechanics. So I'm trying to be more strict, and as an engineer would say, I want to make things work. So when things work, I do not tend to think about them a lot. So the most challenging part is to make sure that those mechanics and all the elements being used are indeed helpful to the cause and not simply working as a board game.
Biggest benefit of this co-creation process is that you are actually not thinking for yourself what are the needs of the groups you want to include, but actually you are gaining their perspective. So they are giving you all the information about their needs, maybe sometimes even solutions to designing the game, and they are thanks to being the part of the process, you can have some kind of insight on every aspect of the game, and not just think for yourself what this group needs and just add a solution by thinking by yourself. So this is way more effective way to create a game which is actually designed to include this target group.
The co-creation workshops give me a lot of thought for our work here in Dragon, because usually the route design process is something that involves us, the route designers and the playtesting team, as well as the creator of its game. Involving the target group in the process of the design, hearing their thoughts, hearing their problems they might see fit, hearing how we can give more thought into our work over the intricacies of their situations, will make the result even more accessible to many target groups, and make their work in it, make their life with it very much more appealing than it would if it was a strict process between us and the creators.
They are about inclusion, promoting the needs, and there are brainstormings and all kind of stuff like this, collaborating people and putting their minds to come out with new ideas or use old ideas.
I think that our organization could use all the game knowledge to create some inclusive events based on board games. I also think there are many creative teachers or partners that would actually create some inclusive board games, and we only should try to find them and get them involved in this kind of activities.
I'm a game designer in one of the companies in Europe, and I am already creating board games. So the knowledge I gained here will surely help me to design better practices and better techniques to include the excluded groups during the designing process. For example, thanks to the co-creation workshops, I have a better idea how to integrate people with the disabilities, not only in the thinking about their needs and what is my design goals, but also how to include them in the design process itself. So this is something which I will surely try to implement in the future, especially the playtesting phase.
Things we learned from this LTTA can be incorporated in our work in various spots. Most intriguing one for me was during our design process, during the explanation of the rules of every game, even if it is targeted to a specific group or in general, could be made in such a way that no person would have trouble in following its design, its flow. Everyone would be able to read and understand in their own way. For example, we could use more inclusive diagrams with different colors, with more steps that are not over-explaining the game, but focused on being clear, simple. We could use more language-independent symbols for explanations. There are many ideas that we have to discuss over and think about, stemming from this process that we did here. Apart from the design, I think that the previous workshops we attended and the meetings we had during the LTTA gave us a pretty much clear idea on how much more we should involve the target groups in our work. This way we can assure that no one following the product after its finished will be feeling excluded from anything that we do. In my understanding, the potential value of using board games for inclusion and its educational aspect has been defined more clearly, because I have seen in theory and in practice through our visits that if people who belong in groups that usually are excluded from activities or education of the educational system, the mainstream system we see, after we have modified our approach so that they can overcome whatever difficulties they are facing, their ability to be included not only in the general idea or the social aspect, but in reality, in practice, has increased tenfold, focusing more on overcoming the difficulties to give more opportunities for people to be included in every process, in every part of the process, will increase their ability to understand, the ability to learn, and the ability to become part of the greater social group.
So I think the educational value is, of course, learning stuff about the world and also to have fun with other people and treating everyone with respect, and also this the part of being able to socialize, especially with people who have difficulties to socialize. And I think board games are a very good way to do that, because you can express your feelings in a competitive way, and I think people with ID really would want that to be competitive, because it's a good opportunity to show your abilities, skills, and general way of thinking.
Board games could be a bridge to help typical people and disadvantaged people get together in a natural and pleasant ways. I truly believe that sometimes typical people don't really know how to deal with disadvantaged people, but also disadvantaged people don't know how to make themselves feel comfortable around other people. They do worry a lot about their disadvantage, and maybe not all of them are that open to get engaged in relations and contact with other people because of fear. And I think this would be a great way of learning how to interact in a natural way and get to know each other. So I think that inclusive board games could be the perfect tool for creating positive social experiences for both typical or disadvantaged people.
Consolidating on the learning outcomes of the previous two LTTAs, we now had the opportunity to witness directly how board games are used for inclusion, for an educational purpose. In my opinion, the use of board games in education minimalizes differences and builds up on social skills, communication skills, and creativity of all players without creating differences between them.